want to show you how to do a couple things differently than how the book shows you in chapter 11. First thing is how they make you do the pattern for this ventilation here, and they make you select an edge and then create an axis, like, let's see, what is it, top and right. So then you have this axis here to select for the direction going this way, and then they have you select this edge for the direction going that way, which is just a waste of time, especially when you, depending on, not, well, here, I'll just show you. So as you see in my sketch here, I just selected the line within my sketch here and here, so that works just perfectly fine. Or even better yet, just use the datum planes. So front to go in that direction, delete, and right to go reverse direction. Oops. Go in that direction, because those three planes will always be there, so you don't have to worry about that causing a failure within your pattern. So that's just a big stupid thing that the book has you do. The other thing I don't really care for is just how they make you make this ventilation when SolidWORks has a much quicker method called fill pattern. So I'm going to suppress this. I'm going to go up here, click on fill pattern. I'm going to select the boundary in which I want the pattern to be filled with. So I'm going to use the bottom surface of this so it cuts outward. Because we're dealing with the circular surface here, I'm going to set the pattern layout to circular. I will have a loop spacing of 0.25, instant spacing of 0.25, and then let's see if this pops up here. Pattern direction, I have what I call a master reference sketch here that has this infinite line, so I'll pick that for my direction. And then instead of, we could have actually made a cut to use for this pattern, but they also have built-in seed cuts, so we could set it to, let's just use a square. We'll set that to, as you can see, it's kind of filling in quite a bit there, so we'll make it a little smaller. We'll make it an eighth. So hit enter, so that looks a little nicer. There is a margin here, so the boundary is this circle right here. I can set it to 0, and that puts the cut completely on the inside of that boundary, or I can set it to a negative number like negative 0.25, and it'll actually go outside of the boundary a little bit, which we kind of want, so we'll leave it that way. That looks pretty good. So that's it. I can press check mark, and there we go. We got a much quicker way of creating ventilation for our part. So in the exercise section of this chapter, they want you to create the other half of this part. So they also make you make that little, oops, I just lost it. There we go. This little ridge here, so the two parts will snap together. I'm going to actually drag this up here to suppress those two. So to create a quick way to create the other half, I'm going to select this edge here, or surface. I'm going to go up to Insert, Mirror Part, select my template. There was something, I don't think I need any of that. I want to break link to original part. It's useful, but we're gonna add, we're gonna make changes to this part, so we don't want them to be linked together. So we're gonna break link and press check mark and say yes. And there it is. So it unsuppressed that ridge. So we can just go into this folder here, select that, and right click, delete. and then from there we'll create the opposite side of that ridge, so when the two parts come together they snap together. So when you have your two halves of your dryer housing here, like I have, you'll probably want to test to see how they'll fit together. So I will quick show you how to do that, and as easy as going to one of the parts, going up to new, make assembly from part / assembly. I don't have any templates for this, so I'm just going to say OK or not. Let's see here, this won't work. So I have my two parts here. I'm going to pick the first one, click the check mark. It will come in this little F here, meaning fixed, which is fine, but I don't really care for it. I generally like constraining my parts and not using fixed, so if I ever need to make a change, I can do it a lot quicker. So in order to get rid of that F there, you can right click and click on float. That means now it's undefined. I'm really not going to make any huge changes here, but I'm going to go to assembly, mate, and then I'm just going to constrain. Let's see what it's got here. It's got clear selections there. Coincident, I want front to front. That's good. Top to top. Good. And right to right. And that's good. Now if I ever want to go and change some of these constraints, all I'd have to do is click on this distance or change what kind of constraints it was, but probably more often than not a distance, and I could make it 10. Now that moves at 10. It's a lot more versatile than just leaving it as fixed. So check mark on that. So that one's in there good. Let's see here. Done with that one. Go up here, insert components, select your bottom one, check mark. That one's set to fixed as well. I'm going to float, mate, clear, coincident, front to front, check, top to top, check, right to right, check, check, and check. Now you can see if your parts will actually fit together when you make it.